Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Jack here again with another video. I'm joined with my property mentor, Nick. Nick, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Jack.
That's all right. We've just been having a good long chat we've been chatting for about an hour now, and it's just been amazing. We did a video last week where we filmed a Q&A video where I just asked Nick a bunch of your questions. He gave some awesome answers and had some great feedback off the back of that. So what I said to Nick was, why don't we I'll come to your offices, we'll sit down, we can chat and hear about Nick's experience of property, of business, and kind of journey, learn a little bit more about Nick's life. And also, we also had a little chat about how Nick went from 98 properties down to 0. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, make sure that you stay tuned for the rest of the video. But Nick, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, Jack. Yeah, so, just to you guys out there, so as Jack said, we were doing a Q&A last week. We had such great feedback that we thought we'd do a slightly different format this week and do just a bit of a more informal chat. And Jack said, it'd be great even though I've been mentoring Jack, he doesn't really know that much about me. So it'd be great for Jack to get to know me a bit more. And also, I don't mind telling you guys a bit more about me, particularly as you're watching my channel. I'm just going to do a little shameless plug here, but don't forget to go and have a look at my channel where, I release 4 videos a week on property. We're going to start doing entrepreneur videos as well and business. So don't forget to go and have a look at the channel. The link will be below. And I hope you like this format that we've just done for you.
Yeah. Nick's channel's awesome. There's so much content on there already. So the link will be in the description below. Head over to his channel. But I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let's start with the beginning. What started your entrepreneurial journey? You've done so many different businesses. You've invested in property. What was it that actually started you in property or in business at all?
So I can't really say what started me off, but since a kid, I've always wanted to. Some people will say this sounds wrong, but I've always wanted to kind of earn money or make money, even as a kid.
Yeah.
So I used to have 3 paper rounds. So I'd have a morning paper round, I'd have an afternoon, evening paper round. For those anybody watching from the US, that's we don't have news stands over here. We actually have like news stores where you go and get your newspapers from, a bit like Publix or something. And so they have delivery people that will go and deliver on their bikes, normally kids. Yeah, so it's quite big in the UK. So anyway, that's just a bit of side. So I'd have a morning paper round, I'd have an evening paper round, and then I'd do a weekly House of News. So I'd deliver the weekly, and then I think I can't remember how long for, but I also did a 4th one, which is House of Chronicle. So 4 paper rounds per week.
Yeah.
So then there's a company called Betterware. They're not around anymore. So then I realised actually, if you did Betterware and delivered household goods to people, that you could make even more money. So I was only like 15 at the time.
Yeah.
So I'd go around on my bike, put all these leaflets through the doors, and then you go back 3 or 4 days later, and then people normally put them in their porch, or you'd knock the door and they'd hand them to you. And so you'd kind of quickly have a look to see. You quickly look and see, have I got an order? So it's so exciting as a kid to get this. Then I go and place the order with the, what they would call your upline, the person the distributor, and then I would, about a week later, go and deliver them. So it was quite funny me delivering buckets on my handlebars. I had buckets attached to my handlebars and broomsticks over my shoulder, and it looked like one of these, like, it's just ridiculous, like. Everything attached to my bike for all these deliveries. Yeah. So that was the early days. And then from there on, really, I just kind of tried lots of things, So I realised early on that you could import books without VAT or duty. So I then went to, I found a distributor in the States that made positive mental attitude books. Yeah. And bearing in mind, this was days way before Amazon, so there was no, unless you went to a bookstore, you couldn't get any books. So anyway, I found this distributor in the States, used to buy them from the States, no VAT or no import duty, so it was great. And then I'd sell them in the UK. We'd advertise in like Success magazine or Entrepreneur magazine. We put a little ad in, actually a big ad. We put a big ad in, but with a little cutout on the bottom, saying send your check off to a post box number. So every day I'd get down the PO box, and then collect the mail, open them up, see how many orders I've got. Oh, great, got another order. And of course, in those days, it was 6 weeks delivery for anything. None of this Amazon next day or even same day.
Honestly,
anything you ordered, it was 6 weeks.
That's crazy because I genuinely don't even remember. that's how young I am. I literally, or how old you are.
Well, either young, I think.
yeah. It's how young I don't remember even. I don't even think I ever ordered anything that wasn't delivered within a week or two.
Yeah, and even, like Argos?
Yeah.
Okay, there was an Argos, but you also had, there was like catalogues called like Littlewoods or Kay's catalogue, yeah?
Yeah.
And it was like a big Argos catalogue. Anything in there was 6 week delivery. If you ordered like a sofa, 6 week. I mean, actually today it could take that long anyway. But yeah, anything you already gone order. No IKEA where you can go and pick things up. So the kind of world was they expected to wait, and that was great because you could almost buy the things before you sold them.
Yeah.
You had time. You knew if you didn't have an order, you didn't buy it.
Yeah. How old were you when you did that? When you did that book?
I was probably about 17, 18.
17, 18.
Yeah.
Was that, what would be the first time that you said you had a business that you would look back and say that was actually not just like a side hustle or something that you did, like what would be like a business that the first business that you started?
Yeah, so I guess the first business, if I would call all of them businesses, because even if it's a side hustle, it's still a business. You've still got you're still buying and selling, you've still got costs, you've still got everything associated with the business, just on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
And to a certain degree, actually, that's the better way to start, because if you can start small, while you've still got a job or you've got another income, if you start small, the risk is less, because then if it works, you can then scale it and then, as you would say, make a real business. But if you're talking about something substantial, the first one was a computer shop. So that was in 1996. So there was no PC world around in 1996. Okay, and so...
That's when I was born.
Oh, was it? I want to say like 93, 94, I started making my own computer. So I'd buy the bits and make my own computer. And then friends and family got to hear that Nick had made his own computer. So then I had people saying to me, oh, can you make me one? So computers were just starting, PCs, if you like, Microsoft mainly, were just coming into, Windows PCs were just starting to come into people's houses. So then friends and family would say to me, oh yeah, could you make me a PC? And so I'd make them a PC. So before long, I was living with my parents still then. The bedroom, a spare bedroom actually, was just like a stock room of like, I had computer cases, hard drive, memory, motherboards. And so I'd go and do my job during the day, which was in IT. And then I'd come home and I'd make these computers at night and a weekend. And then before long, I got loads and loads of people asking me. So I thought, you know what? If I've got this many people asking me now, why don't I open a shop? So I opened a computer shop on the way into Birmingham on a main road. Opened it there because I did a bit of research. There's 14,000 vehicles a day go past that shop. So I'm thinking, okay, great. We've got an audience of 14,000. Yeah. Which, we can get that in seconds now with social media. But back in the day, that was good. Yeah. So we got a great audience there, and also if I can then siphon off the people that are asking me anyway, I'll just send them to my shop. So that's Yeah. So I opened a shop. So I'd say that was the first kind of like it was certainly the first bricks and mortar business that I had. Yeah. That was the first one. Yeah.
And then in terms of property, that's kind of currently your main thing, or like I know you've got loads of different things on the go, but that's kind of how you would say is your main thing. When did you get started in property, and what was your first deal? What did it look like? Yeah, so I got started in March 2000. I bought a 3-bedroom terraced house for £26,000. And it was a refurb, so it needed a kitchen, bathroom, decorate. So we did that, and then got the people in to do it, and then sold it, and then thought, actually, this is good. Yeah. It's kind of like, I think addictive's the wrong word, especially being a Christian. We're not supposed to be addicted to anything, yeah? But, I mean, I wasn't a Christian back in those days anyway, but I think addictive is the wrong word, but it kind of gets like, maybe it's exciting, or maybe it's like... you get like a dopamine hit. Yeah, it's like you're taking something that's kind of...
in a bad state,
Yeah.
and you're doing something to it, and then you've got this amazing kind of building that's 10 times better than it was.
Yeah.
And so it's just almost like there's a sense of achievement, I guess,
Yeah.
And so, so then you think, okay, I'll do another one, you know.
Yeah.
So that was the first one that we started off. When I say we, the royal we, it's me, but
Yeah.
I have a habit of saying we. So that was the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was the hardest thing about getting in property back then? What was the biggest challenge going into property?
I honestly can't remember because it was nearly 21 years ago.
Yeah.
So I honestly can't remember what was the biggest challenge. You know.
So from your other businesses, you had the money to put into a property deal?
So I'd already got so I had the money already from other businesses, so the money wasn't an issue.
And the refurb, did you know much about that before getting started?
No, didn't know anything about the refurb, so I was just reliant upon the builder. So I just
you got like a main contractor.
Yeah, so I just trusted that he knew what he was doing. So famous last words. I mean, there's certainly been challenges over the 20 years, which you know I can go into more detail on other videos and things, but I can't really remember on the first one what the challenges were. It may well have been the builder, you know, it may well have been the refurb.
Yeah. And then you flipped your first house.
Yeah.
Did you then go, okay, this is now the bit like this, I want to turn this into a business, or was it still just, it was cool to flip a house, let's just do another one? Or was it, okay, let's scale this up, let's build this up, how do I do that? What was the thought process, and what did the next, from the point of doing your first flip, you said you got that, you know, dopamine hit, you really enjoyed it, turning it from a horrible house into a nice house and selling it on. Once you sold it, what did the next 2 or 3 years look like for you with property, and what was going through your head at that point? Yeah,
so once I sold it, I then found another deal and did the same again. And I think for me, and I still teach this principle today, for me, the attraction is that you can make quick lump sums of money and there's still time to build a portfolio. So my first property, how old was I? I was, so I was 29 when I got my first property, and so I knew I had plenty of time ahead of me. So I didn't really need to start building up a pension pot or, you know, any monthly income. I also had other businesses where I had income coming from, so that wasn't critical. So for me, it was just buy another one, make a lump sum of money, and then build up that pot of money. And although I'd funded this from my other businesses and my other income, I am the sort of person that whenever I start anything, I like to allocate a pot of money to that. And then once it's gone, you've either been successful or you've failed. And we're not all perfect. I've had failures as well. So I allocate some money, and then you either make money or you don't. Or when you've run out of that pot, you then decide, okay, are we close? If we are, we'll put some more in. So for me, it was a case of do 3 or 4 properties, build this pot up, and then I could then afford to do, okay, I'll buy one and then hold it, and then put it in the portfolio and get 300 or 400 quid a month rent back in those days. So I then carried on and just started doing that really. Just started doing, say for every 3 or 4, I'd keep one. Add it to the portfolio. And then you got 3 or 4 lump sums and do it like that. So
you buy 3 at a time and then you keep one. And I know that you've built up a pretty big portfolio over the years. So that means that for everyone that you've held, you've also sold. So how many does that mean that you've actually bought over the 20 years?
So I've bought and sold over 100 in the 20 years, but I also lost 98.
You lost 98?
Yeah, I lost 98. So
what do you mean you lost?
I went bankrupt. So I lost a lot.
Really?
Yeah. So
Can you expand on that?
2000. What do you want me to? Yeah, I can do.
I think everyone wants to hear it now. You can't just drop a bomb like that and not explain it.
So basically, in 2008, lost everything worldwide.
Was it to do with the crash?
Yeah, it was in the credit crunch. Yeah, so like as we would call the credit crunch, what was the crash of 2008? And so I had to start all over again. So my kids play, or my sons play on the Xbox, yeah. And I often compare it to pressing the reset button on the game. It's like you got to start all over again.
Switch the whole thing off.
Or switch the thing off. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like that little. I don't play it myself, but you know, you only have to lightly put your finger near it, and it turns off, doesn't it? Yeah. It's like that. Yeah. So I lost a lot. Houses, cars, everything.
Your own personal house.
Yeah, gone. I lost everything. I was living in Florida at the time. I
was going to say this was.
I had a house with the runway on because I was a pilot, as you can see on the So I lost.
You had a house
10
with a
acres.
runway.
Yeah, 10 acres of land with a private runway on. So yeah, I lost literally everything, and I kind of like retired. That was the annoying thing. So
how old were you?
I was 36.
36. You retired with a house.
Yeah,
with a
living in
runway,
Florida. Yeah,
98 rental properties.
10 minutes from the beach in Florida, and then gone.
Wow.
So then you have to.
And then you built it back up.
Yeah, built it all back up. Not to, I'm not back up to 98 yet.
Yet.
We're not doing too bad, I will say. But
yeah, I've seen the keys.
Yeah, you've seen
the
them.
cupboard of keys.
Yeah. So it was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you learn? What was that like? What did you learn from it?
So one of the things, I mean, so in the UK, when you go bankrupt, you have to go and see the insolvency service. Yeah, it's a government organisation, and you have to have a little interview with them, just to make sure you haven't done anything like fraudulent. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So one of the things that they said to me was, "Do you want us to refer you to the Samaritans?" So any US listeners, viewers, Samaritans is a charity organisation that helps people that are kind of thinking of like ending their life sadly. But they said to me, "Do they want me to refer me?" Did I want to be referred to the Samaritans? And I said, no, I'm fine. And they said, no, you think you're fine, but we were talking about £10 million, which is probably at the time $18 million because the exchange rate was about $1.80. So I said, no, but you think you're fine, but when you're talking about that sum of money that you've just lost, then you might have suicidal thoughts. And I said, no, I'm really strong-minded.
Yeah.
I'm really strong-willed. Thank you for the offer, but I'm okay. In fact, it was my wife and my mum that took it the worst, which I didn't like to see. It was sad, really. Yeah. But so I lost everything. So what did I learn? Well, first of all, I learned about asset protection. So that will never happen again, whether we have a crash or not. So now I've, and this is what I say to people when, like when they say, well, what can you teach me that I can't get on the internet?
Yeah.
And it's wisdom.
Yeah.
So I know, I've spent 10 million, if you like, to learn the hard way about asset protection.
You're not going to pay 10 million for another course.
Exactly. So...
wow, yeah.
So I learned a lot about asset protection. So now all my assets are protected. They will never be able to be taken away. Ever.
Yeah.
So asset protection and wealth protection. Yeah. So that's the same with cash, whatever else I hold, it will never be able to be taken away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think I don't want to say are you glad it happened, but are you glad it happened?
Well, you don't want to say, but am I actually glad?
Yeah. Are you glad you lost?
You don't want to say, but I will say.
No. I mean,
no, I know what you mean.
I mean, like, was it? Do you feel like you've come out a stronger person because of it?
No.
Really?
Well, no. I mean, I've always been really strong-minded and strong-willed. Yeah. So, whichever way I look at it, I can't say I'm glad it happened. No. Yeah. I mean, I have learnt lots of things, but if you look at the flip side, if it hadn't have happened, I would have still been in a good position anyway because all.
Well, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even if it hadn't happened, there's nothing. If I had, what am I trying to say? I mean, I'd learned things from it. Don't get me wrong. Like I say, asset protection, wealth protection, and that'll never happen again.
Yeah.
But am I glad? No, I'm not glad. No, because I lost time.
Yeah.
So although I immediately got up, brushed it off, and charged forward.
Yeah. You came back to the UK after
unfortunately, we had to come back to the UK. Yeah.
Okay.
So we came back to the UK, and then I carried on going. Not with property. I didn't have any money.
Well,
yeah. So unfortunately, I had to go and get that dreaded job, just over broke, which was true in this instance. It was more like about broke.
Oh, yeah, just about. It's a jab. It's
a jab.
Just about broke.
So no, I'm not glad it happened.
Yeah.
I learnt a lot from it, but even if it hadn't have happened, I was retired.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I suppose it's better than it happening when
Oh, yeah.
you actually hit like 60, 70
Yeah.
years old.
I'd rather it happen when I was 36
Yeah.
than happen when I was 55.
Yeah.
Because the older you get, the less years you've got left to correct it.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate that it happened at 36. So I was able to correct it, not correct it, but able to recover, if you like. Yeah. So yeah, it was interesting times. Yeah.
I tell you what, it's good though because I think a lot of people can teach about this stuff, but going through it, you've got a whole new perspective. You've got a whole new, like you say, it's the wisdom that you've got that somebody who you can read a book about asset protection.
Exactly.
And that's fine. But you've been through it and you now know what it's like on the side. What are your thoughts on going bankrupt? I know it's like that. It wasn't fun.
It's not as bad. It's not as bad as I thought it was at the time.
Okay.
So after I've been through it. So before it, I always thought bankruptcy was like the worst thing ever. That it's the end of the world. That it's all kind of like there's. Now, I'm sure there are some people, and I feel for them, where it really did affect them, and they did need the Samaritans, and it was the end of the world. And I'm not saying that is a terrible situation, and we've all got our own situations. But for the vast majority, I would say, and if any viewers are kind of like listening, and you are struggling, and you potentially might have to do an IVA or go bankrupt, I would just say that having been through it, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
And God forbid that that doesn't happen again. Well, if it did happen again, I wouldn't lose any assets because they're protected, as I said. But God forbid if I did go through that process again, it wouldn't be half. It would be just a breeze.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying take it lightly because you shouldn't be going bankrupt, yeah?
Yeah.
But, things happen, situations change.
Yeah.
And I would just say that, don't worry about it. It's not as bad as we're led to believe, or that the media or the, the outside world, it was better than I thought.
Yeah. I also think, though, that it wasn't as bad for you because you had that mentality of, I'm going to get back up, brush it off, let's build this portfolio again, let's build up some more businesses again, and you bounce back quite well.
Yeah.
And I think that almost differentiates people from success. I don't want to say like successful, but it is successful entrepreneurs, successful property investors. There's this almost ability to, whether it's a small setback or going bankrupt, you're able to bounce back. There's like a stat, isn't there? Like every the average millionaire or billionaire has
gone bankrupt 3 times.
3 times.
Yeah.
See, 3 times. So it's not like it's actually as uncommon as you might think amongst people who are millionaires, billionaires.
Yeah.
It's actually not as uncommon as you'd think.
It's not.
Everybody looks at it and may think, oh, they just smashed it out of the park first time round.
Yeah.
Apparently, according to stats, they took them 3 goes on average.
Yeah. And I think that you're absolutely right. So I'm the sort of person that I'm very strong-minded. I'm very success and very success driven.
Yeah.
I have to win.
Competitive.
Even if I don't win, I still have to try and win.
Yeah.
I mean, and also, I am a good loser. So if I lose, so I'm trying to teach my kids that in Monopoly at the moment because they're not good losers. So I am a fair person and I'm a good loser.
Yeah.
But I want to win. Now, obviously, if I'm running 100 meters, I want to win. But if I'm not physically as fast as the other person, it doesn't matter what I think or what I do, I can never be as fast as that other person. Yeah. But generally, whatever I do, I always try and win at, be the best.
Yeah.
Succeed at. Lots of talk, the little voice inside you. Program myself with that little voice.
Yeah.
And just repeat positive things to myself, which I've done ever since I was ever since I realised that you could do that. Probably like 15, 16 when I started reading. Actually, it wasn't reading then; it was listening to tapes. We used to listen to tapes with American speakers on and stuff in those days. What was your question?
I can't remember. It was just a comment, wasn't it? It was about the fact that millionaires.
Oh yeah. So twice, so 3 times. So yeah, the average millionaire's been bankrupt 3 times. Hopefully that doesn't mean to say that I've got another 2 coming. Which I don't think that's the case. But yeah, and I think
it's a mentality thing. I remember going to a course that you ran, and you do a section on it called Millionaire Mentality, and it's all about how you think and how important that is. I think it's just something that everybody watching needs to make sure that whether they've gone bankrupt or they've just, done a refurb and it's gone wrong, or they've just made a call to an estate agent and they slam the door in their face and they, do you know what I mean? It's like, actually, no matter how big the hurdle is, there's actually a mentality of the people who are successful have this mentality of, we're going to bounce back. And they almost, I feel like that it almost differentiates people from successful to not successful. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that you've got to learn to be... You've got to be able to bounce back. You've got to be able to forget what's happened. So, if I have an argument with my wife, I'll forget it 10 minutes later, and then I'm fine. If I have a disagreement with a staff member, not disagreement, but if we have a talk, I'll tell them what I'm not happy with, and then as soon as the conversation's over, I'm normal. Yeah. I don't hold grudges. As long as I've got my message across, then I'll just continue, and I do that with business as well. So I never think I've made a mistake.
Yeah.
No, that's wrong. I do make mistakes, but I don't think, oh, I made a mistake, that's terrible. If you make a mistake, you've made a mistake, just learn from it.
Yeah.
Just carry on. I also think that no matter how many times, I do, however many times I get knocked over or get setbacks, I get up and keep going again. Yeah. I've always got that end in mind. What's the end goal?
Yeah.
And what do I need to get there? And I think as an entrepreneur, it's all about problem solving.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to come across problems. Yeah. So for me, it's life and business is just a daily... Sometimes you think, is it ever going to end? It's just a daily barrage of problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's when you get to the hurdle and the problem, how you deal with it determines the outcome.
Yeah.
So I don't panic. I used to... the reason I sometimes keep referring to I used to is because I don't get to be involved with that many people these days, apart from my business mentoring or my property mentoring. But I always used to say I don't believe in stress, and I still don't. And if you think about it, if the word stress wasn't in the dictionary, you wouldn't know what it meant. So I believe that half of it, some of it's like a feeling, but a lot of it I think is in the society these days too often say, I'm stressed. I hear everyone saying it. Yeah. So they're telling themselves negative things. So if you tell yourself you're stressed and you're worried, you will be worried and you're going to get stressed. So I just don't worry about anything, keep calm, just overcome this. If something's happened, it's happened, and you can't do anything about it. So I just learn to then try and look, how can we go forward?
Yeah.
And so,
Because this is a really interesting topic, the whole
is
bankruptcy. Yeah. Oh yeah. 98 hours to zero. It's an interesting topic. So how much more do you think we could kind of get out of this video?
You sound like Piers Morgan now. Life stories.
Yeah.
Okay. Whenever I tell my bankruptcy story,
Yeah.
it takes about 30 to 40 minutes from start to finish.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've heard bits of it.
Yeah.
But if you want to know the full, from the beginning
Yeah.
to the very end,
Should do another video on it.
if the people want to watch it,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
they want, if you want to comment below and you want to hear a 40-minute
Bankruptcy video.
0 to 18 million to
Yeah.
bankruptcy to back up again, then I'll do a 40-minute
Yeah.
video on it.
Comment below if you want to see that, and we'll make sure we get another video done. I want to finish with another question.
Sure.
Last question. So, you've said to me that it's not too long before you want to retire
Again.
again. Retire again. This time with assets protected. Okay, so that means, let's say you've got another 5 years before you want to retire. I don't know how long it actually is. Let's say you've got another 5 years. What's your plans? What does the next 5 years look like
Okay, so I
for
think
Nick Ellsworth?
we need to differentiate really between retirement and financial freedom. So at the moment,
Oh yeah,
I don't need to work, so I could just retire today.
yeah.
But
As in
I
move out to America,
yeah,
fly your planes, and stop working.
so I'm only really going to do another 4 or 5 years,
Okay.
and then I'm done. That's it. So obviously we haven't touched on the e-commerce yet, but we've got quite a large e-commerce company that we also run. We being the royal we. And so the next 4 or 5 years, I'm just going to spend time building that up. And if nothing else, I want to leave the businesses in a very, very strong state for my kids.
Yeah.
I've got 3 children, and so, the oldest is, I've got 17, 15 and 11. And so I think the next 4 or 5 years, leave the businesses in a good state for them, and also 1, 2 or 3 of them may want to join one of the businesses. So I think I'd just like to see that transition, get the kids all sorted.
Yeah.
And then that's it. I'll be flying planes around the Caribbean or wherever.
Yeah. So does that mean Does that mean that you're going to continue to scale, or is it more that the next few years are going to be focused on systemizing?
Well, I'm quite good at systemizing anyway. So so all of my businesses are systemized.
Well, yeah.
We have SOPs, standard operating procedures that we have, so that anybody can come along and I can give them an SOP. So I'm big on systemizing. I read a great book many years ago called Grinding It Out by Ray Kroc. Ray Kroc was the founder of McDonald's. I learned that McDonald's are so successful because everything is systemized.
Yeah.
A new team, what do they call them? Crew. New crew member has to go through every station. Fries, burgers, salads, whatever it may be, freezer. And they have to learn everything inside out, and it's all systemized, so that's why it's so powerful and so big and so successful.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I'm already systemized, but the reason I'm staying for another 4 or 5 years is just to get the companies into, we are scaling them.
Yeah.
So I think I'm also helping my daughter. We're also starting our own makeup line. So I'm helping my daughter with that, so that I'm going to set her up with her own e-commerce business. And then I'll probably do the same for my boys as well. But really, the next 4 or 5 years is almost just to hand over the businesses and get everything set up for them.
Yeah.
So that it's in a good position now, but I just want to make it in an even better position for them.
Yeah.
And also, don't forget, it needs to support them and give me an income as well when I'm flying around the Caribbean.
Yeah. So you want to be living the high life, and they also need to get paid.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. That's great. Well, thanks so much for coming onto the show again. Like I said at the very start, it's been good to
good to chat. It has, yeah.
It's been
good.
It's been a different type of format to the usual video that I'll do, but I've enjoyed it. It's been good to just have a bit of an honest conversation about life, where you've been, your experiences. If you want to see more videos like this, maybe where me and Nick sit down, we have a chat, make sure that you drop a comment below letting us know that. Make sure that you like the video and also subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to check out Nick's channel, his channel will be linked in the description below. So make sure that you check that out. He's got loads of awesome content on there. Videos going up, loads every single week. So make sure that you check that out. And I'll see you guys in the next video, not in Nick's video, in the next video.